That's Al, folks? As new sexual misconduct allegations emerge, Democrats call for Senator Al Franken to step down.
Enough is enough.
Are they jumping the gun? Say what?
God bless the United States.
The president's slurred speech raises eyebrows and sparks an online trend about why he couldn't get the words out. Then, this year's breakout comedy superstar Tiffany Haddish is taking a girls' trip to the View. And Descendants star Sophia Carson is teaming up with Whoopi to unwrap some hidden holiday Disney magic.
This is amazing. It's just phenomenal.
Let's light up Hot Topics with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
We want to start by saying and telling everyone impacted by the insane California wildfires to do whatever you can to be safe. This is the biggest wildfire to hit the region in 56 years, and it is spreading at nearly an acre a second. And hurricane force winds are, you know, dictating what direction the fire goes in. So, and
It must have something to do with the planet heating up, and it was so dry and hot.
well, there hasn't been any rainfall for about 3.5 months. And so, you know, when it gets very dry and dusty like that, anything, you know, just, you know, if you flick a lighter and there's a spark, I mean,
That's right.
if it finds something, it will burn it. So just whatever you can do to be safe. And, you know, remember to keep your faces covered because
Well,
it's really the
air quality
is
terrible.
in the toilet.
I spoke
it's quite
to some
bad.
friends that live there, and you know, they were far away from sort of ground zero of the wildfires, and I said, "How you doing?" They said, "You can smell it from here."
I bet.
And I thought, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
And people are losing their homes.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Bel Air. It's in places that you don't normally hear. You usually will hear about San Bernardino or something, but this is
Highly dense.
very
Dense
in a very
population.
populated area. So depending on how the
Yeah,
winds
thoughts and
go.
prayers with the first responders and the
Yeah.
firefighters who put their life on the line every day. It's
Unbelievable.
a
That
selfless act, and I always, you know, it's incredible what they're going through. That looked like literally hell on earth.
It is. It is. It's
I saw
you
a
know.
picture of a man walking in front of the fire and picking up a rabbit.
Oh,
and
I
I felt, oh my God, a lot of animals.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who have animals got out in front of this and you know managed to get a lot of the animals to safety. But it's bad. It's bad. But you know, California is used to burning up, and so we will
the earthquakes.
go.
Well, that's something else.
Well, the earthquake's a whole other thing, but
That
you
can
know,
happen too, then.
That happens here. We have earthquakes here all the
I was
time.
reading that we had an earthquake. I was like, I didn't feel anything, but it was
Well,
apparently
you
kind
think
of
it was a
significant.
train. You think it's a train.
Yeah.
You don't-
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you don't realize that it's like, oh, what is that? Because you think, oh, why are we swaying? Oh, it's nothing. And you
Yeah.
keep on moving.
That's
but
true.
oftentimes you
I
miss
felt
it.
it one time in the Bronx in bed, and I thought, well, this is great sex I'm having. But it was actually a little bit of an earthquake. I'm serious.
Were you even having sex?
It was,
in
yes,
that
yeah,
moment?
I was.
In the Bronx.
The best place to do it.
That's a story. That's it. That's a whole other story. And speaking of, oh God, there's no way around this. So as new sexual misconduct allegations emerge against Senator Al Franken, he's set to speak at 11:45 Eastern Time this morning to reveal his plan going forward. Now, more than 30 Democratic senators are calling for him to step down. Question is, should he?
I think it might be strategy right now, because even though I think it's a false equivalent due to the nature of the accusations against Roy Moore, it's being used as a Roy Moore versus Al Franken. And I think when that's the leg that they're standing on and you're saying something has to be done, you have to hold yourself to that and say, let's just get get our party clean, and then we can say we did the right thing. What about you?
So you think it's just sort of this, let's take the high moral ground and maybe others will follow?
It seems political. It seems very political. Why they're like moving chess pieces around.
Well, when they, as Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. But it doesn't work for the Republicans, the Democrats, to go high, because the other party just gets lower and lower and lower, and they keep winning with the low qualities that they go for. I mean, look at Donald Trump is accused of assaulting women. He's in the White House. This guy grabbed a few women. I'm not saying it was great, but it's not in the same category as Roy Moore or Donald Trump. But and they go out and they say, well, he admitted it. Well, yeah, he admitted to the picture. That's all he admitted.
But if you think out Conyers, if you take out Conyers and Franken, and then people can't then say, well, you have this. It's like, to use a Karate Kid reference, it's like sweep the leg, Daniel. Like you just get there.
I get that, but I just don't think that they will.
Thank you.
I don't think it matters.
I was a little surprised that so many of the female senators came out, like Kamala Harris and Kristen Gillibrand, and I
Claire
started to think,
McCaskill, Maggie Hassan, Kamala Harris, Tammy Baldwin, Debbie. I mean, Heidi Heitkamp. It goes on and on. You're right.
Maybe there were other. I thought, well, maybe there are allegations that they know about that we don't know about, and that's why they're getting in front of it? Or is it just, let me lead by example, Republicans, and let me show you how it's done?
I think there are 8 accusers right now, and I think that given the climate
of Al Franken?
There are 8 accusers against Al Franken right now, and the tally keeps going up and up. I think, as you just said, when you have the female population in the Senate calling for you to step down, that's a whole entirely different thing. I also think that, I keep thinking of your sweater you wore the other day, the future is female, and I think that's going to be such an intense tagline for Democrats going forward in the next election cycle. I know that, if you'd mind me sharing, that you're a fan of Kamala Harris. I know that. You're comfortable with me sharing that. And I think those are sort of the people you're looking towards the future. And people like Kamala Harris don't want to be attached in any way with thinking that sexual assault or condoning it in any way is good for the party. And if you have Al Franken standing up at the DNC in 2020 making a speech that are very uncomfortable optics. So yeah, politics is coming into play in this, but I also think 8 accusers are 8 accusers, and you know, I think that these women are smart to.
Is there no room for apologizing and moving and going in front of an ethics
committee? Can I point out something?
No
I mean,
for that?
there may be 8 accusers there, but we have a guy sitting in office who has more than 8 accusers, and maybe there's not as many Republican women coming out because there's not as many Republican female senators. So maybe
it's
that's
a true fact.
you know,
more Democrat.
there might be more. But you know, the optics of this is no party should be supporting any of this.
1000%.
Yeah.
No party. You know. So the guy, you know, at the top, you know, who people keep trying to say, well, you know, they keep trying to forget the fact that he also has accusers, and they are very adamant. They're not quiet.
No.
They keep saying, you know, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
One was on Anderson Cooper last night.
You know,
He's
it's a
getting
whole
away with
thing.
it, and Al Franken won't, and that's kind of sad.
But will it change Roy Moore? Will it change that dynamic in Alabama?
Let's hold on and find out. We'll come back and talk about it. We'll be right back. We're going to have more hot topics.
How many takes does it take The View to wish you happy holidays?
We'll go this way a little bit more.
What makes the holiday?
I cannot be serious.
What is that?
3, 2.
Or this may take a few.
Okay. What makes the holiday season magical for you?
Family.
Family and my dearest friends.
Family and cookies and music. And how much time do we have?
The tree, the balls, everything.
She just can't help herself.
We were almost there.
Happy holidays from The View.
This holiday, the real gift isn't what's inside the box. It's what's inside the person who opens it. Give Ancestry DNA, the only DNA test that can trace your origins to over 150 ethnic regions, and open up a world of possibilities. Save 20% for the holidays at AncestryDNA.com.
Before I had the shooting, burning, pins and needles of diabetic nerve pain, these feet Like to style my dog as a kid. Loved motherhood, rain or shine.
And we're pumped to open my own salon. But I couldn't bear my diabetic nerve pain any longer. So I talked to my doctor, and she prescribed Lyrica.
Nerve damage from diabetes causes diabetic nerve pain. Lyrica is FDA approved to treat this pain, from moderate to even severe diabetic nerve pain. Lyrica may cause serious allergic reactions, suicidal thoughts or actions. Tell your doctor right away if you have these, new or worse depression, unusual changes in mood or behavior, swelling, trouble breathing, rash, hives, blisters, muscle pain with fever, tired feeling, or blurry vision. Common side effects: dizziness, sleepiness, weight gain, swelling of hands, legs, and feet. Don't drink alcohol while taking Lyrica. Don't drive or use machinery until you know how Lyrica affects you. Those who've had a drug or alcohol problem may be more likely to misuse Lyrica.
Now I have less diabetic nerve pain, and I love grooming the next generation.
Ask your doctor about Lyrica.
More doing chores for mom per roll? Bounty is more absorbent, so the roll can last 50% longer than the leading ordinary brand. So you get more life per roll. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
It's time to wrap it up at JCPenney. Hurry in to find great gifts like Hatchimals and Baby Alive, and diamond studs or pendant just $25 each. Plus 60% off activewear for the family, or save an extra 20%. Hurry in to find the best gifts now. JCPenney.
Daddy, did you get my surprise?
It's the little things that make life rich. Ritz.
Try Nivea.
This is an ABC News special report.
Hey, good morning. For those of you just joining us, I'm Tom Yamas. President Trump has just signed a historic $1.5 trillion tax bill. An important moment not only for the administration, but also the country. This likely will affect everyone's taxes. The president's biggest legislative victory to date, and a promise he campaigned on to overhaul our tax system. And with his signature, this will be the biggest rewrite in a generation of our tax code. Now, Republicans feel this will lead to higher wages and more jobs, but Democrats, they have slammed this bill, calling this a tax cut for the rich and big business. The vast majority of taxpayers will see a lower tax bill, but those cuts could expire by 2025. Now, a feed has just come in from the White House where the president signed the bill inside of the Oval Office. We want to go to that feed right about now.
Everybody good? You're all right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, have great holidays. We are going to sign some very important things today. One is a continuing resolution that very importantly gives us the right, and we are ordering $4 billion worth of missile defense equipment and missiles themselves. Very important, top of the line, best in the world. We make the best military product in the world. Nobody is even close. So we're ordering $4 billion worth of missile defense, and that will be done by signing right here, and also by notifying the Speaker of the House and President of the Senate, designating the missile defense as emergency defense fund. So it's $4 billion for that, and $700 million for various other military forms of equipment, and I'm very honored to be doing that. Our military has been doing a fantastic job in so many ways with ISIS, and everything they're touching lately has been working out. So we're signing that. This is the letter to Mitch McConnell, and separately to Paul Ryan, authorizing that having to do with missile defense. Okay. Very important. So that's being done today, and that's going to be sent out. And then when I watched the news, as you know, we had the largest tax cuts in our history just approved. And I was going to wait for a formal signing sometime in early January, but then I watched the news this morning, and they were all saying, will he keep his promise? Will he sign it by Christmas? You will one. But will he sign it by Christmas? And I called downstairs. I said, get it ready. We have to sign it now. We were going to wait till January 7th or 8th and do a big formal ceremony. But every one of the networks was saying, will he keep his promise? Will he sign it for Christmas, before Christmas? And so I immediately called. I said, let's get it ready. As you know, $3.2 trillion in tax cuts for American families, including the doubling of the standard deduction and the doubling of the child tax credit. The typical family of four earning $75,000, we see an income tax cut of more than $2,000. Many much higher than that, slashing their tax bill in half. And they're going to start to see that because we're signing today. They're going to start to see that in February. The numbers will speak. One of the big things that happened, you have some great companies. I want to thank AT&T, who actually was the first out of the box, and Boeing and Sinclair and Wells Fargo and Comcast, even though they own NBC, which is not so nice to the presidency or the president. But Comcast also, they all have made tremendous contributions to their employees and tremendous contributions to spending money in this country because of the tax bill. And they all said it, it's because of the tax bill. So they're making tremendous investments. That means jobs, means a lot of things. And we're very happy. So that's AT&T, Boeing, Sinclair, Wells Fargo, Comcast, and now many other companies, as you see. In fact, just this morning, I see 3 more companies came on. A friend of mine, Bob Kraft, called me last night. He said, this tax bill is incredible. He owns the New England Patriots, but he's in the paper business, too. And he said, based on this tax bill, he just wanted to let me know that he's going to buy a big plant in the great state of North Carolina, and he's going to build a tremendous paper mill there, or paper products plant. And I've had many calls such as that, where people that are entrepreneurs, people in business, they're going out and they're going to buy, frankly, factories that are closed, abandoned, and now they're not going to be abandoned any longer. This is having an even bigger impact, faster than I thought. The corporate tax rate, as you know, will be lowered from 35% to 21%. That means that more products will be made in the USA. A lot of things are going to be happening in the USA. We're going to bring back our companies that they've already started coming back. I think they had certain confidence in me. They figured we were going to get this done, but they have already started. Something very important to me, the family farmers and small business owners who lost their business because of the estate tax. Most of them won't have any estate tax to pay. It will be a great thing for their families. You can leave your farm to your family. You can leave your business, your small business, to your family, not even so small, because the numbers are pretty big here. So they'll be exempt from having to pay estate tax, which will be tremendous. They'll keep their farms and their businesses in the family. Businesses will be able to deduct 100% of the cost of their capital investments in the year the investment is made. That's called expensing. And to do one-year expensing, I think, is going to be one of the biggest things in the bill, frankly. I think people are going to go out and absolutely go wild over expensing. Bob Kraft mentioned that last night in his telephone call. The fact that they can expense, do one-year expensing, is a fantastic asset. Historic small business tax cuts and pass-throughs now are made really, really good for the business owner. They're hiring people. I see it on television. I'm reading about it all over, where people are hiring a lot of people right now to go to work. The small business tax cut and the pass-throughs are now really incentivizing people. We're going to bring back probably $4 trillion from overseas. Nobody knows the exact number, but it's massive. It'll be over $3 trillion. It could be $5 trillion, but it's a tremendous amount of money that was caught overseas, that the bureaucracy plus the tax laws didn't allow it to reasonably be brought back into our country. So we think at least $4 trillion is going to be brought back. And if you look at that, it's going to be brought back right under the code. This is something that Republicans wanted for years and Democrats wanted for years, and yet it never got done. Who would object to trillions of dollars being brought back into our country? Nobody. But it never got done. Now it's being done. And the bottom line is this is the biggest tax cuts and reform in the history of our country. This is bigger than actually President Reagan's many years ago. I'm very honored by it. In addition, we have ANWR. We're opening up ANWR for drilling. They've tried to get that for 40 years. They've tried to get that even during the Reagan administration. They could never get it. That alone would be a big bill if that ever happened, but that's even part of this. And we have, of course, the individual mandate, which is a very unfair and very unpopular provision, as you know, in Obamacare. Essentially, I think it ultimately leads to the end of Obamacare. It's essentially, I think Obamacare is over because of that, and we're going to come up with something that's really going to be very good. But the individual mandate was very unfair because you're basically saying pay for something in order not to have to get health care. So you're paying not to have health care. It was very unfair. Many people thought it should have been overturned in the Supreme Court. Didn't quite make it, almost, but didn't quite make it. But now we're overturning the individual mandate, most unpopular thing in Obamacare. Very, very unfair. So this is the bill right here, and we're very proud of it. It's going to be a tremendous thing for the American people. It's going to be fantastic for the economy. It's going to keep companies from leaving our shores and opening up in other countries. They are very disincentivized to do that. There's not a lot of sense to do that. You do that, and I don't think you're going to be running your company very well. So what's happening is we're going to sign this. This is a little picture of it. It fits nicely in the box. I said take it out of the box because people have to see. And all of this, everything in here, is really tremendous things for businesses, for people, for the middle class, for workers. And I consider this very much a bill for the middle class and a bill for jobs. And jobs are produced through companies and corporations, and you see that happening. Corporations are literally going wild over this. I think even beyond my expectations, so far beyond my expectations. So I'll sign this today rather than having a very big formal ceremony in 2 weeks when we were going to do it, because I didn't want you folks to say that I wasn't keeping my promise. I am keeping my promise. I'm signing it before Christmas. I said that the bill would be on my desk before Christmas, and you are holding me literally to that. So we did a rush job today. It's not fancy, but it's the Oval Office. It's the great Oval Office. And just to conclude, our country is doing very well. We've tremendously cut regulations. Legislative approvals, for which I'm given no credit in the mainstream media. We have, I believe it's 88, which is #1 in the history of our country. Second now is Harry Truman. Harry Truman had more legislative approvals than any other president, and a record long held. And we beat him on legislative approvals, for which I get no credit. A lot of people say he needed this because he has had no legislative approvals. Well, if you look at VA Accountability Act and so many other bills having to do with the VA, having to do with the military, having to do with many things, we have more legislative victories than any other president, not including this, but this is the capper because this is, again, the biggest tax cut, biggest reform of all time. So it's an honor to have you with us, and we will sign this right now. This is something I'm very proud of. Great for our country, great for the American people. Thank you all. So we won't do the whole thing, but this is basically what it is. That's your bill. And I want to thank some people in particular that